play something that's not Lee Sin this time around, as the teams will switch sides. Bro did select blue after their loss.
Gonna have a hugely controversial opinion. Please ban Gwen, or first pick it. That's my main.
It didn't work with Seraphine. It's not gonna work with Gwen. Chronicler.
Maybe if I ask nicely enough, they'll listen, Valdez. Maybe they won't leave open Gwen.
Well, now they're here in the studio, so maybe if you shout loud enough, they'll get the idea.
I like your optimism. I have some doubts regarding the feasibility of that plan, as the center ban is interesting. I think that while Leo and Lance weren't necessarily the main reason why those fights went the way they did, it's a way for Fred Brian to kind of force an actual matchup, right? Because Senna Kench neutralizes basically everything. The Lee is also going to get taken away. This does mean that, are you going to leave the Renekton open here? Because Fred Brian, to me, isn't really a Renekton Nidalee kind of team, right? It's not something that I personally see Hoya and Umti play as a whole. Honestly, Hoya is just kind of left to his own devices, which has not been great for him. Summit has been, or Keen, there we go again. Man, I don't know what it is. Has been really the one to consistently punish him, as the Akali gets been so many picks open now. And I'm going to have to eat my words, because they do go for the Renekton first pick here. And I wonder whether they're going to combine that. Gnar also open here, which is something that has been consistently banned as well. So we're going back to a lot of the comfort picks that have not been available this whole game. Fred Brian, you know, what's it going to be? Is it actually going to be the Nidalee, or is it going to be, I was going to say Udyr, which is, you know, generally considered still one of the strongest junglers. As long as it's an AP source, we're generally going to be happy.
Yeah, looks like Udyr will come in. It was first ban Gnar twice in a row from Afrika, so it's clear that they think that champion is really strong right now, and obviously can handle the Renekton, a matchup we've seen many times.
Just pick the Gwen. You know you're gonna win, Keen. Come on.
Maybe he's just like, no, I don't want to play into that Renekton.
Well, that's understandable. I think generally you don't like playing anything. That's the thing, right? You don't want to play anything. Oh, this Varus is risky. Although both Kench and the Thresh are open, so you always get one of the two, right? So you never have to feel too bad. It will be the Rumble pick up here, and I would love this. That would be very, very cool, because you take away what would probably be the counter pick.
Nice.
And it's going to be the Renekton mid, most probably for Lava here, meaning that we're going to have a situation, unless you want to go for the Rumble support, but that's really out there and not something that we see very often.
Umti has also played 2 games of Rumble in a row.
Well, yeah.
So
I'm embracing the flexibility of patch 11.11, okay? Yeah, lock it in.
Fly's like, yeah, I'm going to play it this time. That looked good.
You're going to play it into Gnar now.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's completely fine. Oh, no. Okay. With a Varus, you know, I'm okay with this. I think the Jace in particular.
But we wanted to see Gwen.
Yeah, I would have preferred Gwen, but they didn't pick Gwen, so you know we got to go with what they give us.
Okay.
And even though personally I agree with you, I think the Gwen is just because it provides Keen so much more in team fights. Because while the Jace, I think in lane is going to have a lot of a stronger matchup. Outside of laning phase, having a big impact is a lot harder. And we saw Summit fall into the same trap where sure you get some pressure in lane, but then the moment team fight starts, you start get blown up. And that is something where I think you're not going to be super happy about that. Now, it synergizes really well with the Varus, so in that regard it's nice. I think it also might force out a Zoe ban, although I don't know if you're necessarily really afraid of Fly on Zoe, but it is, in terms of the composition, something that can work really, really well, where if you find even the slightest lead, it gets very fun to play. Although Thresh and Kench still available here, so I think it's interesting that they don't go for that. However, considering Fly's Orianna performance, I can't really fault them for it.
Yeah, I think you got to take away Fly's Orianna. Like I was mentioning, just take that away from him. Let him play anything else, and you're probably gonna be happy, even if you save that ban for the second phase. As Rise once again is going to be taken off the board. And it's no Zoe, but it's also another long-ranged poke control mage with the Victor that does come in.
Actually, kind of like the Victor into the... Yeah, just go all the way, you know? Lock in that Leona, lock in that... Go full RNG, basically. Yeah. it's good enough to beat Damokia, why not? I think Tristan also does a serviceable job in that regard. Provides additional pressure. Fred Brian, it's an all-in comp. You know, they dive you, they get pressure, they blow you up, and team fights are either going to be won or lost very quickly and very decisively. And as a Freaka, you know, you can look into Kench here. I think it's quite good into a lot of the picks, although you will give up a lot of priority here. But otherwise, maybe a Fresh. I think
like
Kench.
the
Yeah, Kench I think is better.
I feel like Alistair could have been good too, but it was taken away.
Yeah.
And there you go. Tom Kench comes through. Things kind of make sense. You know, we have two comps that are very obvious in what they want to do when you look at them at this point in time. And yeah, here we go. Fly's going to be on the Victor. Curious to see how he will perform on that one. Will we just see Keen dominate yet another lane here, as the Jace can absolutely do to the Gnar? And love on Renekton. It's, you know, he's been the player of the game king so far. Can he pick up another one on this champion?
I do think that's a matchup that can go either way. Obviously, the all-in potential for Renekton is really terrifying, but if you can kind of get a feel for when he wants to go in for his short trade, you know, slice and dice in, go for the stun and get out with maybe an empowered Q, you can place your gravity field at the appropriate time and then win him, you know, slow him down or stun him even, and then win the trade on the backside. But you need to not die, and that's something that Fly has admittedly had a lot of difficulty with. And this comp for Fred Brian, it's one of those comps where I'm like, probably know who's going to win this game fairly quickly. And if a Freaka's ahead, we're still not sure until they've actually won, right? Because this comp from Fred Brian, unlike the one in the last game, doesn't matter how far ahead you get, if you get hit by a Gnar ultimate, a Dominus up Renekton, and an Equalizer, you lose.
Yeah.
No matter what, so gonna be a spicy one.
So we are gonna hop onto the Rift. The fans have decided no fan chance yet. Not enough people. We'll get there.
Eventually.
Yeah. There's the advertisement down on the bottom for the savings account. It says you can go ahead and roll the snowball. I like that. You gotta build up that snowball and scale, guys. Save for the future.
It's okay, we're scaling. Perpetually scaling.
Everybody's scaling here. This is the LCK. And yeah, you mentioned we're kind of going to know who's going to win this game early, especially if Bro gets ahead. I feel like if Afrika get ahead, you never truly know.
We should know, but we don't. Whereas if Fred Brian got ahead, it's, yeah. Playing kind of a, you know, hybrid poke, kite back composition, which honestly, like, I think this is very cohesive comp coming out from Afrika. And considering how Dread and Keen have played, expecting to see a lot of pressure on the top side. But simultaneously, like I said, it's never won until the Nexus is actually blown up. And that is something that, for Afrika, is kind of a risky proposition, right?
Yeah. Well, what better way to enable Keen than to start off vertical jungling with your jungler on the top side of the map? And he's just saying, okay, we're going to allow Keen to be the most aggressive Jace that you can have, basically, by, you know, of course, providing a lot of safety. Now, went Raptors to his own Wolves, and he is spotted on a ward that Dread plays. So, at least Dread knows that the Rumble is nearby. Looks like it got cleared. So both players know what's going on.
I thought got spotted, but I guess it didn't, because...
no, he scanned it.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean initially, because I feel like the pathing towards Wolves is weird, knowing that Udyr is there, because you can never match the Udyr early as Rumble, right? Like, that's not a matchup that you really win. So I would have not been surprised to see go from Raptors into the enemy jungle, but this is where the power of the Afrika bot lane comes in, because Ferris is really good at getting early prio. There was a leash from the Light, or I think it might not have been leash, it might have just been trying to protect from any possible invades, but because of that, Lance and Leo got control of the wave early. So that creates a really awkward situation for where if you try to invade, you're probably going to get collapsed upon and die. But if you don't try and invade, which is what he obviously went for, was the safer choice, you're going to get triple buffed. So a really nice early play here from Afrika. Make great use of the prio that the lanes provide them early. as well as a cheeky invade to get a huge lead for Keen, who knows that there's no to speak of, because if he goes topside, he's going to waste a lot of time and resources, and a triple buff stuff for Dread.
Yeah, that's the name of the game here, basically, for a Freak. I like their strategy from the get-go. You see that some of the priority here in the mid lane has been going to Lava, who's just fast clearing. Now, oh, the flash smite comes in. We've seen one of those recently over at MSI. I'm not going to name any names. Where didn't exactly pan out well, but this time around, you know, he gets the scuttle. He did have to blow a splash for it, but at least he doesn't get potentially double scuttle from there.
Now he gets a double scuttle, and
yeah.
I don't actually know how I feel about that. I don't know. I think it might be worth it because getting early tempo against an Udyr can be really good, especially as Rumble, where your early game's kind of a big liability. And it recuperates that triple. Because if you lose the scuttle there, and then Dread can go into a topside clear, it's really rough, right? So I'm gonna say it's worth it, even though it looks kind of weird because, as you said, gets him the double scuttle. But generally, I would advise against that, yes.
Yeah. I mean, he was going to get the top one anyway, as
yeah.
we eventually figured out. Especially with the priority in the mid lane. Like, you could have just let him take that scuttle and then go top. But
yeah, but then, like I said,
to catch up.
You'd effectively be like 3 camps behind, right? Because he'd be even. And the scuttle, of course, is in terms of experience a really valuable objective. So I kind of get it.
Does mean that the pressure from the jungle Rumble, you mentioned his early game, maybe he wasn't really going to be looking for ganks too early on, but still, it's going to be a deficit not having your flash. This top lane is, you know, it's definitely Jace favored in terms of the lane, but at least Hoya is keeping up in terms of the CS. He is being pushed in. It is annoying to play, but he's not falling too far behind in that top side, which is a good look for him.
Especially compared to the earlier games, right? Because now there's going to be a big wave crashing in, so the current lead is a bit deceptive. I think King's still going to be like a wave, maybe a wave and a half ahead. They need to respect.
Getting in there and hailing some blades in the face of Leo, who just kind of laughs at him and does more damage than Henna did to him. So...
Varus is a pretty strong pick, you know?
Yeah, this is actually a nice amount of damage, but they're looking to turn it. Nice pre-flash there from Fly. Avoids the stun. And is able to get out alive pretty easily that time around.
Crisp play from Fry. This is the early game you want to see with this Afrika comp. And this is what you need to do. You need to make use of the power that you have to secure yourself the early objectives, pick up the ocean. Now, if you're not quite so lucky, you know, ideally you find yourself a Cloud Dragon there, you pick that one up, and then you get a guaranteed mountain or an ocean, or an Infernal rather. Infernal, of course, is the best. Considering that you have Udyr, Tom Kench and Jace, the movement speed is nice, but the cooldown reduction on the ultimate is very, very negligible for Afrika. Whereas an Infernal Soul with a poke composition like this that kind of needs to stay ahead in tempo to really do well is gonna make you very happy.
Yeah. Salister not exactly enjoying himself down here. As I mentioned that, he goes in. But, you know, even just the threat of the Devour, it's like, well, you know, we're not going to get anything off of this. Also, Dread is here. So, trying to get in the face of Delight, thinking about it. At least he will be able to push him away. Nice control ward here, spots Dread a bit early. It looks like they were expecting that. But the pressure down here on the bottom side, very nice for Afrika, getting some plates for their bottom lane.
And Dread's effectively flipped the switch where in halfway through game 2, he was like, no, I can do better.
Yeah.
And ever since, he's done better, right? We saw that his Lee Sin, even though it didn't have the biggest impact in game number 2, became a lot stronger as the match progressed, had a couple of key kicks, and now when the Udyr has been doing really well in the early game, possible play being set up here, surrounding Keen, but Lava not wanting to go for it, not really in a position, would take a little bit longer. And now we see the roams come through. Henna and the Light cannot be left alone in the bot lane. You can make a play for Herald, that's fine, Afrika, but you need to recognize this is a Tristana. If you let her just charge up her explosive shot relentlessly, you're going to get way out-traded in terms of plays.
Yeah, and they're going to send Leo down to the bottom side to catch this wave. But does feel like with the aggression being shown up on the top jungle, here against Dread. Actually, Umpty able to wrap around and get in the face of him, smites down the red buff. And nobody's there to help Dread.
This is a really big ultimate gun though. And I think that might be enough for Afrika to say, hey, we can actually contest this. They do need Keen though. They need to get some preliminary damage done if they really want to go for this. But with Hoya charging up his Naba, Afrika either commit or get out.
Oh, they're not. I mean, Keen is just pushing the top lane. He's not playing to fight this objective at all. And as I say that, Dread and the Hens are getting in there. The teleport comes in, but already the catch goes on the Dread. Now they're looking to turn it around. They catch down Delight. Chaos Storm is getting some damage done, but the rest of Bro is able to get out of there alive, it looks like, although Umpty has to flash away. They get that Rift Herald, and it looks kind of like a bit more was given over to Afrika, but it was just the one kill, and the Rift Herald was secured.
I think they might be able to pick up another plate here, though. If they get two, then you've already kind of dealt with the pressure that Rift Herald gives you. And that was an interesting situation, because I'm not sure what happened with Keen there. Keen was standing on his top side, and I don't know if it was either because there was no vision for him, respecting the possibility of Fred Abrian baiting him into walking into unwatered territory and getting blown up. Because if you look at the minimap here, you can see the wave is way ahead, right? And the team must be communicating here, what do we want to do? The moment this play gets started up, you get the teleport to come in, and then you realize that without Keen, not nearly as much pressure, but the moment he joins the fight, Fred Abriel knows we can't stay here, we need to get out. Hoya's Mega Gnaw is timing out, and it was thrown earlier, and then without any tanky stats, you can't really ever get anything done there. The value of Devour coming through there bigly as well. As a whole, I think it's a win for Afrika, but depends on how well Fred Abrian is able to use this Herald. Because if you can somehow get a kill, you maybe get dived at Jace, blow him up, he doesn't have flash, and then get the first turret blood, you're still going to be happy with it in the long run.
Yeah. For now, though, Afrika in a pretty good spot. They did pick up that Ocean Drake as well, as actually baiting Delight into thinking that they're not here, but that's going to be a nice little chunk given over to Delight. Umpty down here on the bottom side with this Equalizer, threatening a play. The Hens will just be able to accept this wave. But we do have the Mountain Drake here spawning in just a moment. We'll see who is able to pick that one off. Again, the top lane has been actually pretty nice for Hoya. He was there ahead of the play, in position to help secure the Rift Herald, and he's not that far behind in terms of the CS. It looks much more acceptable compared to some of the other games we've seen tonight.
And it looks like it will just be a straight-up Herald for the plates, nothing too interesting. Just going to get those two, and that should pretty much even out the gold lead here, as we see comes through. Still upwards of 800 gold, but definitely not insurmountable. They got to give it the Dragon for this as well, and that's an interesting call. But I feel like without Keen dead, I know they can't really go for a play. It's not the control that you're looking for with this comp early.
Just kind of hanging out, and Lava will be able to return immediately to this lane. We have another Infernal Soul, by the way, here in game number 3.
Well, apparently those don't matter, Veldas. So, after the last game, I don't know.
Infernal Soul? Apparently not as good as 2 kills in a Baron.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Not me, that's for sure. And as Afrika will still, I think, have plenty of opportunities, and the kill going to Keen is actually really big, considering that Keen really has been the lifeline for Afrika, especially in the matches we've seen so far, but this has also been a consistent theme with this team for, you know, recent history, I'd personally say. Just catfish waddling.
Yeah, just doing his thing
waddling
there in
back
the river.
and forth. Ah, that's a misplay.
Why didn't he let the plate fall?
Ah, went down. It's fine. He knew. It was calculated, Valdes.
Oh, the plate did actually fall.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Yeah, it was calculated. He saw the minions, he did the math.
Henna knows what he's doing. Yeah. So, okay, it's going to be exactly 137 damage. That way the plate falls, and I still am able to clear these minions without giving too much damage to the turret.
Very nice. You know, you got to optimize, you know?
5 minutes later, this turret will be available for when they dive me. we'll see.
I played well on the wave that come on wave 6 and 5 from here on out. It's all good.
Yeah. Hoya, I think, was spotted there. Maybe not. Nice little control ward. Spotting that south side of the river. Lava this time getting a bit more aggressive. Just trying to force the stun to come out here. But this is the kind of trading you were talking about, actually. You know, come forward, try to clear the wave, and then get a bit of damage onto the Victor, who then just throws out his damage as you're running away.
And now seeing these comps in action, personally, in terms of how these two should play out, oh, mind.
Lahen's nice flash, and the Devourer will be there, and they should be able to get away. The Chains of Corruption kind of not doing anything at the end of the day. Just trying to disengage. And now Lava's still on a ward, but he's got a ward of his own. Knows that he was spotted. Will be able to back in safety.
As I was saying, if you don't make mistakes, that was a bit of a mistake, but was corrected very, very nicely. Safety provided by Tom Kench, as per usual. I think that as a Freaka, you're always going to feel comfortable as long as you don't have to necessarily be ahead, you just have to not fall behind, right? Because the Fred Brian comp has good hard engage, but are also, they need to be in your face to really do anything. They are very short range outside of the Equalizer, which means that until you get to like late in the game and Hana can maybe poke a little bit, it's always going to be all or nothing. And as a Freaka, you're pretty good at dealing with that. You just need to be able to actually get through these beefy boys, right? Because between the Nod, the Alistair, and the Renekton, there's actually going to be a lot of beef in, there's a lot of effective stats that you kind of need to chew through. But as long as you can keep doing that, as long as you win that equation, generally you're going to be fine. You're looking at like 2 items finished on the Jace, you're looking at Leo, picking up another item who has actually gone for the Duskblade as opposed to the Proudest Claw, which is more, whereas Fred Brian just get the Rift Herald, I guess. Earlier to the objective again, and even with the good fight from Afrika earlier, I think their objective control this game has been fairly lackluster.
Yeah, and it looks like they were waiting for Leo perhaps to get down to the fight, but he's so slow. I mean, he's only got the tier 1 boots, and he's a Varus, so
that doesn't help.
Yeah, he's not really going to get there on time, so they just say, nope, cancel the whole thing, we're not even going to fight. And I suppose that's okay. I mean, it's just the second Rift Herald, but definitely could have been played a little bit better at that kind of spot. And so we're not really going to have anything else happen here. We do have the Infernal Drake spawning in about 30 seconds, so we'll be trying to make a play onto that one.
And as a Freaka, that's the one you really want to pick up, because as I said previously, the problem with Fred Brian comps later in the game is that if you don't hit the critical amount of damage that you need to actually burst someone down when they jump on top of you, they're going to win just by chain CCing you and having a lot of aggressive damage output. And as a Freaka, I'm really happy to see that they're actually playing proactively now. Vamti walks into this brush. He's not falling for it.
He knows.
Oh, does he?
No, he doesn't know! And now he's going to get flashed on and bear slapped. Vamti taking a ton of damage and will be going down. The flash in response out of Fly. He's able to get out of there, but a couple of flashes for the kill right before the Infernal Drake onto the enemy jungle seems pretty good.
That's definitely worth. Hoya also nowhere near the fight, doesn't have the Narbat charged up, does just now finish his Divine Sunrise, so this first item spikes come through now. Like this Proto Belt, we already talked about it a little bit early in the previous game, but in this game especially, you just want to get on top of your enemies, right? You want to just get in there and try to get as much damage before you inevitably get blown up, which as Rumble, you know, maybe you can pick up a Zhonya's at some point. And this is a really big Drake, because this means that it's going to be way easy for Fly, for Keen, and for Leo to output enough damage to get through these beefy boys. However, mispositions remain critical. You cannot afford those against the Fred Brian comp, and this is a Freaka. They're ahead, but we already said we're not. This one isn't over until it's over. If you're a Fred Brian fan, despair not, because we've seen, even in the last game, which was won by a Freaka, that sometimes they can be out of position. Even within this game, it hasn't been mispositions that led to kills, but they have mispositions and missed objectives.
Yeah, it certainly has happened, but it's kind of slowly just walking along here that Afrika are getting a pretty nice lead. They've got their scaling in order. 3 tiers already purchased by the team and are all scaling up here.
Everyone's scaling.
Yeah, they get their first Infernal. That's even more scaling. This is another look. There's no vision in their own jungle, and Umpty thinks he's safe, but he's not.
Yeah. I don't know what else to tell you. And Umpty, it's such a shame because you can recognize that he knows that he shouldn't go in there. His instincts are telling him not to, but he still does it. And walking into unwatered territory towards the side of the jungle where you know your opponent's going to be grouped up for the inevitable Infernal Drake isn't necessary. You have an Alistar, you have a champion that can face check. Surely with Phase Rush he's not as tanky, but he can just press his R button and then be fine. You know, just be in a position to actually back him up if he does do that. But instead, yeah, as Rumble, if you do that, you're just going to get blown up very, very quickly. And it's a comfortable gold lead for Afrika, but it's not nowhere near a gold lead where we say easy peasy lemon squeeze. You can just play it out from here and not be threatened whatsoever.
Yeah. I think the biggest gold gap was once again in the top lane.
Yeah, it's not a surprise.
To the surprise of nobody. And, I mean, Keen is already hitting like a truck. We haven't seen too much of it, but when he does, it becomes apparently, you know, very obvious. And we saw that he was able to exert that pressure up on the top side. It's a little bit later than I suppose most Keen plays are, but he makes it happen. He's able to get that first turret for his lane up there. And you see that Bro is looking for the engage. This is what they want to do with their comp, but can they actually make it happen? The Devour over the wall is still available. They're actually able to do more damage onto Umpty than Dread takes himself.
Ooh, it's not bad. It's a considerable amount of damage. Once the Mana Muni is finished, it's going to be even better. Still a little bit off the Mirror Mana, but eventually he will get there. This is, maybe this is the problem. We just need to ask every other region nicely to let us scale into the game like this.
If only. I think they figured that out 3 years ago. Fly is alone, and he doesn't have a splash. And even Hoyo is there to get in on the action. He didn't actually do anything, but you could tell he wanted it. And that's not the first time we've seen that, even in the series. I remember game number 1 where he got caught on the TF. Fly has to be really careful about his positioning because picks like that lead to objectives, lead to objective fights, 5v5s, where Bro can definitely take the priority and the engage on those fights and feel really good about their chances.
And obviously Keen has no vision, so expecting maybe Umpty to actually go for a play there wants to know in advance. Yeah, that's the ruler turret, you know, or the ruler spot where don't be there if you don't have flash and or help. And it's something that this is why we don't really call this game over until it's over, because we don't know where these players are going to be. Are they going to be at the right place at the right time? Really good vision control here. This is what really enables this play, because you see that teleport come in, and it's because there's always the distinct possibility of a possible collapse or help coming from the top side of the map, from 1 or 2 people, because of course other 2 were on vision. So you don't risk it. I don't think it was 100% necessary. Could have held that a little bit longer, but didn't want to take the risk. And as you say, these type of play kind of take out the tempo out of this game, the momentum, which I feel hesitant saying that because I don't feel like it's a particularly fast game. With you know, 3 kills at 21 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, at least all the other LCK teams let the other LCK teams skip, right?
It's just polite.
It's just a gentleman's agreement over here at the LCK. No, nobody puts on too much pressure.
It's really the fault of the rest of the world that we don't.
Yeah,
that like
it's their fault.
Yeah, it's not adapting. What are you talking about?
We don't have to change.
No,
they should just play the gentleman's game.
As nope, nothing happening there either. Don't get tricked into it. We will, however, see a fight surrounding this dragon, and that's a big ultimate already gone. Lava does have the teleport available, so can join the fight, but it looks like it's going to be the Soul Point freely giving up, and I guess they traded for 2 turrets. Not the best trade. I personally would have liked to see them either pressure a Baron, at least try and force something, you know, get a Freak out of position. Instead, it's just a freebie.
Yeah. And that's one of the things about Bro, where it's like, yeah, I mean, they looked really good against Live Sandbox. They looked fantastic in game number 1. It was pretty pristine play, actually, in game number 1, even down to the vision control, the patience. Everything was great. And then get into game 2, game 3, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, well, maybe they're not there just yet. Although we're all getting very excited for the potential and what they have shown, I think they need a little bit more time.
It feels a bit like a revert to old form, whereas Afrika feels like they're very true to their previous season's form, where it's like it's basically the same team. Although thus far I think Leo has held himself well. I don't think he's been very flashy, but like he's just been good, you know. And maybe that's all they really needed. Whereas Fred and Brion, as you said, I think in the free games where they're actually able to identify what they need to do and play to it, they play really, really well. But in games like this, it feels like they don't really know, they don't have the confidence, and so they just kind of go, unless the circumstances are perfect, just gonna scale, just gonna hang back. And I don't want to see throw his ultimate onto a wave the moment that like fight for a soul point starts, right? Or in this case, clearly they didn't even consider contesting that, but that in and of itself, I think, it's not something you can afford as Fred and Brion.
Yeah, it's almost like they feel like they're more behind than they are. I mean, they're not in a great spot in this game, but it's like, you guys have stuff within your composition to make plays.
100%.
Right?
They can outright win any team fight if they find the angle.
It looks like they're beginning to figure that out, right? Meganar is coming in. We do have some flanks from Hoya, but Afrika is able to get back. 3 of them get hit by the house, but nobody's getting engaged upon. And that's really what Afrika needs to do as well. I mean, when you consider their win condition, it's all about the poke, it's all about the disengage, keeping them at arm's length. And Afrika do it quite well. And if you keep shutting down Bro, they might just malfunction. Here we go again.
What did I say, Umpty?
What did you just say, Chronicler?
Don't build the wave.
No. And now Afrika are like, hey, let me get in there. Let's get some damage done. Huge ultimate is down. They push away the Gnar, who has no Gnar bar now. And it's 5v4 for a little bit. You could see they were maybe considering going towards that Baron, but just for now, just going to clear out some vision. They're on the cusp of Infernal Soul, so...
in case of Afrika, I'm okay with them not doing anything, as ironic as that sounds, because it should be Infernal Soul into a straight-up win from there on out, right? Because then you can already see the amount of damage that they're doing. As long as you don't get caught, which has already happened, really need to play respectful, but once that comes through, you will do so much damage with poke that you can just walk up to the objective, force them to face check into you. They will throw an equalizer, which you would then walk away from, and then just poke, and poke, and you hit like 2 or 3 arrows, a shock blast or 2, and you're good to go. You know, we see that the Muramana is done, 2 items for Dread, Fly now has the stopwatch, so the threat of that big backline dive becomes a lot less threatening. 2 items for Leo as well, and from this point onward, I think as Afrika, say it a lot, but you're actually comfortable, just hanging back, and
totally fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they have already 2 Infernal Souls, or Drakes, not 2
they
for
didn't
Infernal
get any
Souls.
Infernal Souls, Velas. I was very upset about that.
2 Infernal Souls would be broken. Imagine if you get the first Elder and then like the next set of dragons start coming out.
After
they're like
Elder,
empowered dragons, you know?
Oh my god, after Elder it goes back to like the normal dragons and you need to slave 4 again.
Yeah,
and
you gotta slave 4, but they're like they're bigger and better.
Yeah.
They're empowered, it's like...
it's like the next level.
Yeah. That would really end games pretty fast.
Would it?
They'd be so powerful that you have to fight over them, and then it's like...
Yeah, but Elder already does that anyway.
Yeah, but you know...
But even better.
Exactly.
Even bigger.
Even maybe it's like one empowered elemental, and then it's back to like the empowered Elder.
Oh, but then you can get the souls of the other ones. Right? Like it's the empowered one, and then if you slay that one, you get instantly the soul.
Yeah. Second soul, and then second Elder.
Yes.
With decreased cooldown times. Okay, guys?
Yeah, they keep coming in faster and faster, you know? Like every time you kill the Drake, the respawn timer goes down by
like
1
30
minute.
seconds.
That will really end games quickly. Maybe then we'll play the game instead of sit on nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, this is kind of what happens, Chronicler, you know? You get excited about a team, and then everything falls apart. Afrika, though, they're playing this pristinely, and they deserve to take this win. They're going to pick off Hoya, and they're going to get their free Infernal Soul. Thank you very much. There have been 4 kills in this game.
He's doing it to taunt us.
Umpty's just going to start ulting random things at this point. He's going to start ulting in the jungle.
He has to go for the steal, but...
It's a nice play by Dread.
Yeah, it's really well done. And yeah, it's a straight up CC chain. And it's such a shame because I love the positioning from Hoya initially there because he was threatening with a full Narbar. But then the moment that you don't have a Narbar, you need to realize that you are actually one of the squishiest champions in the game. There's a reason why Gnar, especially when he was like literally picked a man every game, we still see him like in really high prio now, but teams are also willing to drop it every now and then. Lands.
The bait ward. Well, looks like they're okay. And bro, it looks like finally they're like, hey, let's start grouping up. Let's start denying vision. Let's start trying to make team fight picks happen.
Yeah,
now
yeah. It's a bit problematic now, isn't it?
Maybe they were just waiting for the Afrika curse to kick in.
Or they looked at last game and they were like, actually, if you get Infernal Soul, you lose the game. So but it didn't get the 2 kills. They didn't get the Baron.
Yeah.
And this is what we were talking about earlier. Any poke skill just takes away half your health now.
I don't really know what's going on now. Bro are like, okay, what we'll do is we'll put pressure on the mid lane. 3 of us, by the way. 3v5. We have no vision. And Afrika are like, no, you can't just do that. We're just going to push you away. And already, Keen is just insanely fed. I mean, he's got 300 CS. He has the Infernal Soul, obviously. 3 items.
You can't walk up here. There's nothing you can do.
He's going to die. 2 shot flags. Nice amount of damage comes in, and Bro says, finally, we want to fight. But the disengage is perfect from the side of Afrika. Laser is going to miss. Dread does take a bit of damage. The shot blast will miss. And you can see now Delight, he's down an ultimate. There's no further engage that comes out. All the ultimates are down here from Bro. Everybody has to flash away. Mega Gnar is coming up, but everybody else is just too low. And there's not really an easy way for Bro to figure out how to get into this Baron pit.
And Afrika is dedicated to not make the same mistake. No one gets caught out. Everyone is grouped. You let them engage onto you. You know, with this at this point in the game, you're so far ahead. You can make that work. You have the safety of the Kench. You have everyone having so much damage available. Just force it. They do. They walk. You need to walk into them. There is for the Brian. There's nothing you can do. And even though the gold lead is this small, it's the culmination of everything that has happened this game that make this game feel so hopeless. And you, at this point, engaging is already such a risk, right? Because Delight can't engage here. You want your Alistair to hard engage because he just instantly get blown up because of this poke.
And the disengage was good too, you know, immediately there is a flash, there's a devour, everybody backs off on the side of Afrika. So even though Afrika, it feels like they're so far ahead, the respect is still being shown. And that amount of safety in this game, alongside of Bro's relative passivity in this game, has led to them just scaling up, not much else happening, and Afrika getting very far ahead. And, well, okay.
I just love the fact that Udyr is one of the strongest junglers in the meta at the moment, and he has done 1.7k damage. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that wonderful?
Damage isn't everything.
What do you mean?
Don't listen
when
to what they say.
When I top the damage charts and like I lose, it's never my fault.
The size of your damage meter isn't everything, Chronicler. Okay? You can do other stuff to help your team.
You can ward, you know?
Yeah. You can run really fast around the rift and get a lot of vision down, you know? Yeah. Get in there and slap some people, and that's about it. As, okay, a really deep teleport coming on in, but already a lot of damage being done. But this is a huge flank coming in. That is a nice ultimate in the wall, but look at the backline. They just disappear. They melt away. And Afrika is so far ahead at this point in time that there is nothing that Fred Freon can do. As we got to take a look at the replay and see just how quickly the Fed, Jace, and Victor with Infernal Soul got rid of that backline.
Unbelievable. And I like the Hail Mary attempt here from Fred Brion, but it echoes what we were saying before. Fred Brion, you needed to make these plays like 15 minutes ago. You could have done this exact same thing and then you can still win the game, but now the damage is there. There's nothing you can do. And they just get absolutely demolished here, Valdez.
Yeah, just deleted out of the game, and that's going to do it. This is the culmination. It all happens in about 2 minutes.